Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and much appreciated you guys checking today's video out and spending some time with me. Always appreciate that. Guys, today I've got a winter bass fishing primer for y'all. I'm sort of going to give you guys some good foundational and maybe some advanced tips on fishing during the winter time of the year. At the time of filming this video, it's the first part of December. We're in the prime time of year for it. It's going to be December, January, and February are some of the best months of the year for wintertime fishing. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, just a quick invitation. I'd like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button to Intuitive Angling. It's free and easy to do so. You can unsubscribe at any time. And if you want to go a little bit further and support the channel and get extra videos every week that aren't seen by the public, you can become a channel member. All you have to do to become a channel member is go to my YouTube homepage and you'll see a little thing that says join down there. Just hit that join button for information. And I'm also, channel members get some access to my email address for your own personal fishing questions. So really appreciate that. Okay, I love fishing in the wintertime as far as the fishing goes. I don't like being cold, don't get me wrong. I spend a lot of time fishing in the winter, and I spend a lot of time being cold fishing in the wintertime, growing up here in the Ozarks and, doing all my on-the-water lessons like I do for jerk baits. So I've got a lot of cold water fishing experience. And I can tell you right now that as far as the fishing goes throughout the course of a year, I put the winter time as like the second best time of year to fish. It's like, obviously the spring is going to be the best, followed by winter, and summer and fall are, in my opinion, a lot tougher to catch bass than in the winter time of the year. Wintertime fishing can be really good because depending upon what part of the country you're in, even if you're in a cold part of the country, there is a lot of diversity and options as far as how to catch bass in the wintertime. Because when people think about wintertime bass fishing, they think about fishing slow as a snail, fishing, it's just tough, it's cold. That is just a small part of the winter fishing. That is like when your temperatures bottom out for about a 3-week period, usually in January. But other than that, like in December or February, you can have some very mild conditions for wintertime. It's like right now here in Missouri, it's December and we still have water temperatures, close to 60 degrees. So it's like you could still catch them in topwater probably here right now. So it's not what people think. When they think in terms of December, January, and February fishing, it's not relegated to just fishing like, jerk baits or spoons or little swim baits, for these really slow moving lethargic fish. So I sort of wanted to give you guys some of the ways that I like to approach my winter fishing based upon what part of the country I am and, type of situation. Now, first of all, I can tell you one thing about wintertime bass fishing. It doesn't matter where you're at. Water visibility is very critical, and you're simply not going to have that much success fishing in the winter if you have less than 2 foot of visibility. You can still catch some fish, don't get me wrong, but the best fishing that you're going to have in the wintertime is going to be those body waters that have over 3 foot of clarity. 3 to 10 foot of clarity is going to be ideal with that, because that gives you a lot of different options as far as what the fish are going to do and technique wise. Now, I classify winter fishing in a couple different categories. You got what I consider the southern lakes, the southern natural lakes, or grass lakes, like, all the Florida lakes, some of the Texas lakes, maybe even some of the TVA lakes. Lakes that have grass in the wintertime are different than man-made impoundments without grass. If you're fishing in the wintertime and you have a lake that has submergent vegetation, the bass don't react as negatively to the cold weather. It's almost like the grass keeps them more active throughout the winter. That's why all you guys that have lakes that have submergent hydrilla and milfoil in it, you can catch good fish all winter long with some pretty actively moving baits. The crankbaits, lipless crankbaits, spinner baits, jerk baits, fished over the top of that grass is going to be really good, and you don't have to fish in traditional winter terms. Now, for most people that fish man-made lakes that have man-made impoundments that are primarily rock and wood cover, that is a completely different ball game. And based upon how your lake is positioned and how it's set up, there's a lot of different options for you to pursue there. So you pretty much have 2 type of lakes. You're going to have your lowland type impoundments like a Lake Seminole or a Lake Eufaula in Alabama, And then you're going to have your highland reservoirs like, or even lowland, like I consider like Sam Rayburn on Lowland Lake, and your highland impoundments like some of the Tennessee lakes, Lake Cumberland, Lake Cherokee, all the Ozark lakes, some of the Northern California lakes, what I consider the more mainstream bass fishing type water. Now, in terms of wintertime fishing and the typical man-made environment out there that you have, everything to me is surrounding rock. It's like I don't fish wood cover very much in the wintertime at all. So lay down trees and logs and stumps and boat docks that are some of my favorite targets throughout the course of the year don't really play an option. I'm concentrated primarily on rock. Now, the rock that the bass can use, it varies greatly. You can catch bass off pea gravel, off of fist-sized rocks, basketball-sized rock, vertical bluff walls, riprap bank. Bass simply like, and they prefer to be around rock a lot of times in the wintertime. Now, I'm not really sure why that is. It's not like it's because of the cover or the forage is there. They just prefer that type of cover for whatever the reason is. One of those things about bass, they prefer and they like to relate to rock a little bit more. Now, they don't even have to be close to the bottom or next to the rock. They can be suspended in those same areas, but the rock is nearby. So some of the primary things that you really have to consider when you're looking for some good areas to fish in the wintertime, it's all about immediate proximity to deep water. So whatever lake that you're fishing, you have to focus on that type of cover that has a deep water access very close by. So it could be like a riprap bank that dropped off sharper into deeper water. It could be, a channel bank or a bluff bank. It could be a deeper point. It could be a ledge. Something close to deep water is going to hold those bass, because when you have an access to deep water and you have rock cover, that gives the bass an option to move through different water column zones. They can stay on the bottom in a variety of different depths based upon the water clarity. If you have real clear water, they could be down even in 50 foot of water on the bottom. It's a little bit more stained. They could be in 10 or 12 foot of water. And based again upon the water clarity, those same fish can also suspend in those areas. So on a typical good man-made lake, the structure, say like a main lake point or a bluff, you may have a population of bass that live on the bottom in 30 to 50 foot of water. And on that same area, like a point or whatever, you could have fish suspended on that point, 10 foot down over 40 foot deep, or they may be some fish a little bit shallower. But the point is those areas that offer deep water access are really good areas to look for bass in the wintertime. So again, concentrate on your steep banks, your points, deep riprap banks, and also ditches can be really good. Bass will move through ditches like that run down through the middle of a creek or a cove, like highways. Especially these are really good, especially if you have a lake that has submergent timber. So all you guys that fish lakes like Lake Lanier in Georgia, or any of the Ozark lakes, or Lake Russell, in South Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, stuff like that is going to be really good, places to fish ditches with. Lure selection can be a wide range of things, again, based upon your water temperature or your water clarity, combination of the two. Obviously, my favorite wintertime techniques is a jerkbait, because anytime the water temperature is in the 40s or 50s, which it is around most of the country, a jerkbait is probably going to be one of your number one weapons. Now, followed up closely with that, a little swim bait can be really good, like a little 2.4 inch Kitech or a 3 inch Megabash Spark Shad. All those can be good. Alabama rig can be good, especially on those little bit days that have a little bit warmer or a little bit windy conditions. And a jig and a crankbait. I catch a lot of fish in the wintertime when that water temperature is in the 50s on a medium diving crawdad crankbait and some type of a brown jig, whether it be, the full size jig or a finesse jig. Those can be really good, lure selections, again, based upon the type of area you're fishing. Most of the time on the rocky banks, like if I'm casting to the rocky banks, I really like a jig, finesse jig or regular jig or the crankbait. And if I'm fishing those areas like points and ditches, that's when I'm going to more of the little swim bait, the jerk bait, and the Alabama rig. Sometimes the spoon's pretty good. For example, guys, if you're catching some fish, say deep off a point on a jig, or even if you're catching some fish on a jerk bait off of a point, a lot of times you can take a little jigging spoon and vertical jig in and around those type of areas and 30 to 50 foot of water and catch them. Pay close attention to bait fish too. I mean, a lot of these areas, be sure to graph with your 2D sonar. You don't really have to find the bass, just look for shad schools, because the shad schools, they do two different things. It's like the presence of shad usually means the presence of bass on those areas, and also the presence of the shad will give you a good indicator of how deep you need to fish, whether it be suspended or on the bottom. And also, one of the things that I found about all the wintertime fishing I do, which is a lot of it, is my favorite days to fish in the wintertime are cloudy days with maybe just a tiny little bit of wind. A lot of people think that, you know, because it's cold, those fish want the sun to warm up. I haven't found it like that. It's like most all the good days I've had in the wintertime, I don't care if the water temperature was 42 degrees or 52 degrees, have came on cloudy days. It just seems like to me they activate the fish more regardless of how deep I'm fishing. Doesn't really matter. I catch a lot of fish on those type of days. So anyway, just a few overall, just some random thoughts on winter fishing, guys. Like I said, please feel free to shoot me, you know, message if I can help you guys out. Just shoot me a message on my Facebook page. I'll be glad to help you guys out, and we'll check in later. See you.